All right, we're live. First Facebook Live event.
First live.
Christian's finishing up his notes over here. So I know.
Trying
for
to
me,
keep our social distance here.
Yeah. I know for me, like school's been very interesting for my kids.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to watch how quickly the teachers have adapted.
Yeah.
To all of this. I had a friend who shared that it was like building the Apollo 13 while it was flying. All right, I'm out.
I love it.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here with you guys. Connect with you. Been an interesting few weeks. I'm not used to not traveling, so this has been a crazy adventure, not being on the road. But right now, that's the deal. But I'm here with Hans, my business partner, and person who started WhyTry with me all these years. And so
20 plus years now.
20 plus years doing this. So
Kind of crazy.
how's your family doing, Hans?
We're hanging in. My kids are at home, and mom's getting a little bit crazy with them, trying to keep them busy. So I'm just trying to figure out how this new world of adjustments impacting us and how it's impacting everybody else out there.
Yeah.
How about your kids?
They're doing good. My oldest is on spring break right now, so he doesn't have any schoolwork till next week, so he's very excited about that. He's probably waking up right this second, getting out of bed. And
That's
then
possible.
My youngest is interesting. He was kind of a student more like me, and has a little bit of school anxiety. So as they're giving him assignments that he complete throughout the whole week, did half of them yesterday. Another assignment that takes a week he's working on today, and so he might be thriving better online than in school.
Than in
In a
school.
school setting. So
Yeah.
that's been interesting to see.
I found it pretty interesting just watching how different teachers are adapting. Like looking at my kids and how some of them are figuring out ways to send videos to the students. Some of them are just trying to make sure they're getting the assignments out that they're trying to do. And it's just been a mad scramble, it seems like, for everyone trying to adjust. It's like everybody's onboarding all at once. It's kind of crazy.
No, absolutely.
So-
It's been interesting to see. Carson's doing a lot of different platforms. Different teachers are approaching things very different, and I think that's positive. It switches things up, gives them we teach something at WhyTry called state changes. When you're teaching, and you do things, the more things that children are exposed to from different avenues or different multisensory experiences, it keeps them engaged. And so I've been really impressed to see
How they
the
adapt that to
engagement.
virtual.
How they adapt that to virtual to keep students engaged. That's been really cool to see.
Yeah, I talked to one of my kids' teachers today, just asking him, as we've been trying to figure out how we can provide more resources and help them, just trying to understand what they're doing. And he's one of those teachers that's like super tech savvy, and even he was kind of describing how he's still figuring it out right now, and he's someone that teaches technology.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see kind of the shift. And I think more than anything, how they're responding to the isolation, how they're responding and trying to keep kids engaged, even in a situation where they're not in the same room with them and they're missing out on those things. I think the one thing that we're hearing a lot from teachers that's been interesting is the fact that teachers are saying that the thing that they love most about their job is kind of being taken away from them, and that's being in front of kids,
and that connection,
and being able to instruct in front of kids. And so now they're trying to figure out how can we still do that virtually, and I believe they can. I think they're going to adjust, and it's going to be awesome. So
I think some of this will even carry over once this crisis is gone. I think education is going to be changed a little bit over time. It's interesting to see.
I do too.
What impact this has long term, and I think there could be down the road some positive things that come out of it. Now we're checking on, make sure everybody's online. Now we're pretty much ready to go. Should we start the? All right,
go ahead.
We should be ready. All right. Well, I just wanted to share a little bit of a message on resilience, and I've appreciated over the last 2 days particularly. I've gotten many texts, emails from people just saying, "Hey, Christian, where are you? What's going on? How are you doing? How's your family doing?" Those that know me really well and have heard me speak before know I have definitely have a pretty tremendous intense anxiety disorder, and
and you have a little expertise in this field.
Yeah.
They're reaching out to you to get some guidance from you.
Yeah, appreciate that. And those that don't know me, I'm the author of the book, The Resilience Breakthrough. I'm a clinical social worker is my background, and me and Hans basically have spent the last 20 years flying around this country teaching resilience and social and emotional education to schools. I've actually flown 7 million miles speaking about the subject matter of resilience and social emotional education and just really helping a student from a whole child approach. We want them to thrive academically, but we also know that social and emotional is so important. And as I speak across this country, I'm pretty vulnerable, try to be upfront that I have my own anxieties. And I know this is a time that people are dealing with tremendous anxiety. It's interesting. I think it was a year or two ago, it was not that recent, anxiety just passed up depression as the number one mental health disorder in the United States. And before, of course, for years it was depression. But so you look at how that's already shifted in our society and what role maybe social media, all these different things have impacted anxiety over the last few years. And you think what's going on right now, it's definitely a thing. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to take my anxiety and some of my fears and channel them in productive ways, and I'll get into that a little bit more. I also want to, where I'm being a little bit vulnerable here, is I take medication for anxiety, and I think that sometimes we got to take care of ourselves during important time like this when things are so intense that we really prioritize our mental health. I know that sometimes Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes in, and we want to take care of our physical
yeah.
food and all these different things. Once we have food, water, and whatever resources, and go to those grocery stores and buy up everything. Please stop doing that. But
hopefully they're not as crazy around the country as they are here.
Yes. I think Utah would lead the country in that. And so if everybody could not do that, but because it gives people like me more anxiety, and I'm OCD on top of it. So I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, and I have generalized anxiety disorder. So this is a really exciting time. I'm getting massive exposure therapy for my issues right now. And so this will hopefully make me even more resilient as some of this stuff shakes out. And please don't hear me wrong, I'm not making light of that at all. Anxiety right now is a very intense, very, very serious thing, and we have to really take care of it. And whether it's depression or other mental health issues, we really, really right now got to take care of ourselves from an emotional standpoint. One thing that's been interesting, we were alluding to it a little bit before, but this is just blowing me out of the water. As I travel across this country, I've spent the last 20 years talking to educators, and because I travel all the time, sometimes I sit next to these business leaders, and they'll kind of, when I say I work in education, they kind of lose interest. They'd much rather hear me working for some high-tech company or something. That would be a much more interesting conversation than doing the most important work on the planet. But what's interesting right now is just over the years I've heard people kind of disrespect educators, look down on them a little bit, and I just think, man, this world right now needs to stop, take a deep breath, and hopefully when this crisis is over, we'll truly understand who these great educators really are. I mean, your ability to pivot, whether you're an educator, a youth worker, an administrator, I don't care what role, school psychologist, school social worker, school counselor, whatever roles, anybody serving kids right now. What's happened in pretty much a couple day, 2 or 3 days, they were able to literally change how education is being delivered in this country. I like to see any industry pivot that fast. So I'm very proud to consider myself an educator, a social worker, and see what level we're reacting this fast. And I think it's one of the, I call it a miracle. It's unbelievable what I've observed happen. I think we should all be proud of that. We should be really, really proud of that. But another thing I want to emphasize, kind of going back to our emotions, is I'm just watching a lot of friends around me, family members, different people. I'm sure you're seeing this as well, Hans. Different people's emotions, they're going way up, they're going way down. 1 minute I'll be talking to a friend and they're fine. I'll talk to them a couple of hours later and they're rock bottom.
Yeah, it usually is associated with watching the news.
Yeah, I can definitely do it. But I just recommend that we really, for ourselves, we acknowledge, hey, it's okay if I feel a little bipolar. If I'm going up and down, and feeling pretty intense motions, that's okay right now. That makes sense. That's logical.
Normal.
It's normal. Nothing's wrong with you. If you're having extreme mood swings, you should maybe be having a few mood swings right now. That's okay. So give yourself some forgiveness, some grace on that. And then the other thing is, when you really observe that in other people, I think it's really important that we're really, really patient with other people's, and sensitive with other people's emotions, because they're going to be literally like the reality ride. They're going to be swinging up and down all over the place. And so I just want to be really sensitive to that.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, it's happening everywhere. I mean, we had discussions trying to work together yesterday, and there was a lot of tension just in our office.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where you can just see some of those anxieties and frustrations just coming to the surface. And it's something that we're all dealing with.
Yeah.
I definitely am. Christian is. Most of our team internally is, and our families are.
Yep. So you're going to see intense emotion, whether you're at the grocery store, you're in your house, wherever you are. And I think what's really important, and this has helped me do this, and I have not mastered this at all, but it's really helped me to just take a moment and observe it, not judge it, but just observe the emotions in others and just pay attention to it, almost kind of like an out-of-body experience, but just observe it and then come back at it with kindness. And it's a hard thing to do. And again, I'm a hypocrite saying that. I haven't mastered that, but I'm just trying to, it's almost like even accessing some mindfulness that way. Mindfulness, you're just observing what's going on. You're not judging it. Yeah. You're just observing it. And I think that's important that we get doing that.
It's that, and those are those skills of just being present in the moment and recognizing, what others are maybe experiencing and feeling. Yeah. Trying to show empathy is really an important thing. Practicing empathy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no greater time to practice that empathy than right now. In WhyTry in the book, The Resilience Breakthrough, we define resilience as the ability to bounce back when you have every reason to shut down, but you fight on. And, the human condition is to feel like just giving up, shutting down. The name of our organization is WhyTry. And, we ask kids, why try? Sometimes, and they would say, I have no idea what the answer to the question why try is. And to be really frank, I'm going to be vulnerable again here is, even the last couple of days, I've asked myself, why try? I'm a business owner. I mean, it's going to be very difficult, going forward. And I'm thinking, man, why should I try right now with all these things, man? There's every difficulty, every pressure under the sun, under all of us right now. And I think when we feel that hopelessness, that's the time to try more. Because, in WhyTry, we always answer that question. If you try in life, you'll have more opportunity in life. You'll have more freedom. You'll have more self-respect. And I know those moments I feel like shutting down, it does impact my emotions. It impacts my self-respect a little bit. But when I just show up, I push through. Being here, doing this right here with you guys today is literally therapy for me to just push through. And so just that definition of resilience, I want you to be thinking about that is it's when you have every reason to shut down, you continue to fight on, to not give up. And I think, again, that goes back to those emotions. They're going to come and go, and give yourself grace during those lows. And we all got to keep getting back up and keep fighting.
I think the thing that's so important with that too is not just, what Christian's saying, it's accepting the emotions, recognizing it's okay to be angry, frustrated, even the anxiety that we feel, it's natural right now for everyone. But, we're not saying you got to be positive, you got to be upbeat all the time, because it's hard. But looking for ways to be productive, there's a difference there. How can you try and drive productivity even when you're feeling those strong emotions that are difficult?
Oh, absolutely. And we know after a challenge kicks in, we have a crisis, we have a challenge, and there's no shortage of that right now. And when that happens, we know emotions kick in, and it can be a gamut of emotions, and especially when they're suffering, it's usually going to be negative emotions. And I've learned over the years that when that suffering kicks in, I really have two options. It's going to be my best friend, or it's going to be my worst enemy. No one's ever really showed me what the third option is when I have tremendous emotional pain or tremendous suffering that I have to overcome. And WhyTry, those are familiar with the book, we teach a concept called flipping the switch. And so you have those negative emotions, particularly after a crisis or after trauma, after suffering, and it's pretty universal. It's amazing to me right now to see, the human condition. We're literally all in the same boat right now. I've never seen that, and it's horrible that we're having to experience it through something as horrible as this. But
it's kind of cool.
Yeah. At the same time, but we're in this boat together, and we have to kind of keep this boat afloat together, and helping make that happen. We realize this flipping the switch concept is so important, and that's where you say to yourself, how do I use this challenge as a fuel source? That's kind of it's an intro question to being resilient. Resilience is this ability to bounce back. You don't start bouncing back until you ask yourself this intro question: how do I use this pain? How do I use this suffering as a reason to try to be a better human being, to work harder, to not give up, to be kinder, to show more love? And that's kind of the essence of flipping the switch, is the ability to do that. And to be really frank with you guys, I have to do it 100 times a day. It's not just a one-time thing.
So I would call it
good.
flipping the switch, is that, there's things that cause that switch to go off, but every time you flip it, you're making that decision to try and be productive in that moment. You're making that decision to try and just keep bouncing back.
I just want to emphasize, it's definitely not a one-time thing. You got to do it over and over and over during the day. So one of the things that going back to kind of almost that mindfulness thing is when I can observe when my negative emotions show up. The minute those negative emotions show up, I have an opportunity to try to convert them. It's almost a game you can play during the day. So I'll say, okay, how do I convert that negative emotion into love, into kindness, into some type of service? Give an example. Several years ago, my oldest brother, Billy, who was a police officer, was killed in a car accident. And it was someone who was one of my heroes. And it just hit me. The best way I can kind of channel that or show respect to his life is say, okay, I'm going to try to be kinder. He was a police officer, and he sacrificed tremendously for people. And right now, we know nurses and first responders and police officers, those are our heroes right now. They're making tremendous sacrifices for us. So I say to myself right now, out of respect for them and their sacrifices, what my brother went through, him passing away, how do I take my current negative emotions and channel them in ways that don't hurt myself, don't hurt other people? And it's literally an hourly battle. It's a literal thing you can do. I'm actually using it to pass time right now, with my severe ADHD, and I'm used to working 100 hours a week with my travel schedule. It's a really emotionally difficult time for me to just slow down this much.
Is not a good thing.
It's
a hard thing, to say the least.
definitely not easy right now. So anyways, just want to plant that seed with you on flipping the switch. It's so important. And then channeling those negative emotions. And of course, if you can access positive emotions, we want to maximize those positive emotions. But there's a quote I always say in all my speeches. It's going to say this on my tombstone. There's no law in the universe that says we cannot take negative emotions and create a productive outcome with them. We literally can use negative emotions. A lot of us haven't really been taught that throughout our lives. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that.
It's just, it's one of the things that a lot of times, when we talk about the breakthrough and the resilience breakthrough in our book, it really is just that recognition that you can take any emotions that you have, whether they're positive things that drive you to be motivated or negative things that drive you to be motivated, that if you channel that and use that as fuel, that's a key.
No, absolutely. The other thing I want to emphasize is the importance of staying productive, engaging in something. If we don't feel productive, it increases our anxiety, depression, almost every aspect of our lives are impacted if we don't feel like we're producing something. So one thing, it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be something very simple. One thing that I try to do, and especially I'm going to be really focused on this as we go into the weekend and next week, is kind of planning out my day, almost hour by hour, where I go, all right, it's kind of the whole person approach, but I got to kind of apply it to myself, just like I do in schools, to make sure kids kind of have wraparound services and supports. I'm trying to do that with myself. Like, so I say, okay, I'm going to make sure I exercise today. I'm going to make sure I try to eat as best I can eat. I'm going to try to spend some time with each one of my kids. I'm going to make sure my wife's needs are met emotionally. And so just kind of planning out the whole day. I'm going to have some fun time. I'm going to binge watch something for 6 hours because I'm a human being, very proud of being not productive. Because sometimes being not productive right now, especially in a crisis, is therapy, and maybe more important than being extremely productive. So I still look at, I know I'm speaking on both sides of my mouth, but I still look at that as being productive if you binge watch a show. So please do not hear me wrong on that. We need that release. We need that
you need to escape
relief.
Sometimes.
Yes. And so that production therapy is so important. My grandfather was in World War II, was a bombardier, was shot down out of a plane, landed in Germany, was in a German prison camp for 2 years. When he first got there, he saw a lot of the soldiers shutting down and giving up and really struggling. And my grandfather, they're in these little small cells. And one of the most powerful conversations I've ever had with my grandfather, explained to me that, look, I had to just stay sane. One of the ways I stayed sane in this, literally this little box is from like 8 to 9, I moved all the dirt from the right-hand side of the cell to the left-hand side of the cell. Yeah. Just with his hand, just moving, just production, just doing something so his mind doesn't shut down. And then from like 10 to 11, he would drive the streets of his hometown. In his mind. You know, he would just drive around in his car, and he would take his girlfriend on a date or whatever. He would literally just try to stay productive. He'd do sit-ups, push-ups. He would trade, the Red Cross would give him rations, and he would trade his tobacco for bread, and he made all the other U.S. soldiers do that, and some really cool things to keep these guys healthy. And he just said, he kind of planned out, you guys cannot shut down. And I know it's not as extreme as that, you know, compared to World War II. We're actually dealing with World War V right now, by the way. Well, my friend of mine pointed that out. So I give a shout out to my friend. Yeah, don't steal that from me, anybody. Corey. World War V, I own that. No, Corey. I'm just kidding. World War V, but it's painful as that relates to that. But anyways, my grandfather is one of my heroes who really taught me this idea of being productive. I'm going to do a whole webinar, a speech, maybe spend almost 30 minutes on just this concept. We have that in the book. We have 27 boosters, and over the next few weeks, I hope to go through each one of these boosters with everybody. And also, I want to emphasize that resilience takes place in the striving. It's not a destination. People will often contact me and say, Christian, what's it like to reach resilience, or how do I know I'm resilient? How do you know you're resilient? And they're usually shocked by my answer. I usually will say, I've never really totally achieved resilience, because resilience isn't a place you land and you wake up and you're resilient. You're
never always resilient. There's not a point where you say, well, I've made it. From here forward, I'm resilient.
Yeah. It takes place literally in doing what everybody in this world is doing right now. They're doing the best in a very, very difficult situation with this virus. They're just literally putting one foot in front of another, doing the best for their families, for people in their community. And that's what resilience is. It's an effort effect. It's not a destination. And when you realize that, you can really give yourself some forgiveness, some grace if you're not perfect, if you lose your cool, you're feeling really scared right now. It's okay. You should be feeling some of those feelings. It's okay. And we have to give ourselves forgiveness. We got to give ourselves grace. When I speak across the country, I'll say people ask me all the time, what's the number one thing that kills our resilience? And I always say the number one thing that really stops resilience, it's the kryptonite of resilience, is if we cannot forgive ourselves. You know, to mess up is to be human. We have to be able to forgive ourselves, and of course forgive other people along with that, but we got to give ourselves grace first. The human condition is to mess up. It's funny, it's actually what makes us special. If you were perfect all the time, you'd be a robot, you'd be a machine. It's the vulnerability of making mistakes, messing up. There's some amazing, as I get to speak on college campuses, and I've had some amazing professors pull me aside and just point out to me that really, Christian, what you're talking about and around vulnerability and some of this stuff is what's really powerful is literally what makes us special. It's what makes us human. And everybody in this country right now is feeling vulnerability. And instead of, and sometimes our defense mechanisms, we want to hide that vulnerability, we want to cover it up. But it's as normal as breathing. It's okay to be vulnerable. I realized, I was with my kids quite a bit, and I hadn't taken the time for them to kind of express some of their fears, their anxieties, and because I'm just working on so many things and just trying to deal with this thing. And I thought, man, am I creating a safe environment for my children to be vulnerable right now during this time? And as we start doing some stuff here in the next couple of weeks, trying to give resources to schools, I think we want to create an environment where kids can express themselves and be vulnerable.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that's really important related to just resilience that is part of what we're trying to focus on right now is that it doesn't take you don't have to have we teach resilience all over the country. We're teaching resilience to teachers and educators and counselors, and they're using our programs and our tools in schools to teach these things to kids. And our expertise is our ability to kind of engage and understand, what is going to help motivate these kids and what resources are going to help those educators engage those kids. And one of the things that's really important just to realize is that you can be resilient right now. You don't have to go through some big long course. Like our book, our content, all of this stuff that we're going to be focusing on in these little Facebook Live sessions for the next few weeks is great, and it's going to help increase and be resources to help you flip that switch on a daily basis. But you can be resilient right now just by making that decision that, you know, I'm going to flip the switch. I'm going to look for how to be productive in spite of the anxiety and everything that I'm feeling.
I want to emphasize that resilience is already within us. It's not something that we don't have. If you're a human being and you're breathing in oxygen on planet Earth, you're highly resilient. I mean, just the odds of us being here and all we have to go through and what we're dealing with right now, we're all highly, highly resilient. And we have to never forget that. And that it's really just every day, it's just pulling out something that's already inside of us. You do not have a resilience deficit. You have plenty of resilience. It's just we got to make sure we continually pull it out of ourselves. And that's why human beings have always been the most powerful thing to ever walk this planet, is because we have it in it. And we'll answer some questions in just 1 second. I just want to end with 2 quick thoughts here. Again, I wanted to just emphasize that, you know, we're all in that same boat. And I think we got to really kind of celebrate that going forward. I think you'll see more and more of that. The other thing I want to emphasize real quick, I'm doing some consulting with some different districts right now. And I want to emphasize that we're seeing it's really important. I think right now and it's really important right now. We're so focused on academics for these kids, and we need to continue to do that. I totally agree with that. But at the same time, with really vulnerable kids with learning disabilities, behavioral disorders, kids dealing with
just kids with difficult circumstances
at home, all these different things, is one thing I'm consulting on right now. I'm encouraging districts to have some type of a method. Every district is going to have to do this a little bit different. But where a child, you know, so they're sitting at their computer at home, they have a way to communicate back to the school system that maybe they're struggling, that where a school counselor, a school social worker, school psychologist could reach out to them, because those people are going to be needing to do some of that work. And I get right now we got to focus on academics, but at the same time, if we can have something as simple as maybe the kids can text something, or, you know, 2 thumbs down means they need to talk to someone. 1 thumbs down means they're just kind of frustrated, but they're okay. 2 thumbs down means I want to talk to the school counselor or something. And so be thinking about ways of that. And in the future, we're going to be throwing out some more ideas about that. But just something as simple as that. I'm seeing a lot of kids, and I'm asking them, hey, do you have a way of getting a hold of your school counselor, school social worker, or getting help if you are struggling emotionally? And I've asked many kids that. Most kids I'm talking to about that are telling me no, which has me under great concern. And we have to be able to create, and again, I don't want to tell a district exactly how to do that. I want them to innovate, because we can't do it.
We don't even know what tools they're using.
Yeah, we don't know, because I just want people to really, I just want to put that on the forefront, that that's something important right now. We need to be thinking about, how can a child communicate, I need some resources right now, and some emotional support. And, you know, and some of these kids are home alone right now, and they're dealing with tremendous challenges. And so I just want to encourage school systems. And if any school district wants to contact us, you can email Hans at Hans, H-A-N-S, Hans at WhyTry.org. And we talked about this. He will personally consult with you guys, with the school district, on maybe what technology we can use to be able to help give kids an opportunity to communicate. So you can just email Hans direct at H-A-N-S, Hans at WhyTry.org, and he'll support any school district in brainstorming and looking at ways to do that. And then at WhyTry, we have tremendous resources. I have Jason Johnson. He's actually in the room right now. He's an incredible school psychologist, and we could get him and Hans together consulting on that. And we have a team of, you know, we have Bruce Bushnell, administrators, counselors, but we have tremendous resources. So if any school district wants to contact us, just at Hans at WhyTry.org to get some consulting from kind of our leadership, our team, we'd be more than happy to do that for you there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people that know us, if you're a customer of WhyTry, or you've been through one of our trainings before, you know, we are very much focused on how to help people connect and form relationships with students, which we know is the key to motivation. But one of the things that you may not be aware of is that we've been doing WhyTry in a virtual setting for several years. You know, we've worked with K12.com for many years, helping them take WhyTry into virtual classrooms, both live virtual and self-paced virtual. And in all of those, we've experimented with a lot of different ways that you can still create sort of that connection, that relationship with students, and how we can facilitate that. And so we have a series of lessons on our website right now. We're actually adapting some of our content just more specifically for current conditions with Corona and this isolation that we're dealing with, and a lot of kids that aren't used to working in this environment, and a lot of teachers that aren't used to working in this environment. And so that's something we're adding to our web resources right now to the program. And then another thing that we wanted to make sure that as we've been every day trying to kind of gather intel about what's going on in the country, what's going on with our customers, how different school districts are adapting to this new environment of having kids at home and still trying to educate them, and how teachers are adapting. And as we were just talking through this yesterday, we were thinking about some of the resources that we have and what we can do to help, and how difficult it's going to be for parents right now. You have parents that are either trying to juggle their own jobs, plus now they have kids at home that they're trying to support in their education. And maybe the biggest impact right now that we're going to be seeing is just how much having kids home at a time when they were expected to be in school is going to impact a family. And one of the things that we have, so Christian was talking about our book, and I don't know if you're familiar with our book, but this is basically our theory of resilience, how resilience can be taught. What's the difference between someone who takes certain challenges and shuts down versus another person in the same circumstances that finds an ability to cope, to flip that switch, and to thrive. And we wrote this book and published this a few years ago. And several times, Christian a couple years ago was speaking to a group of educators and administrators and a lot of teachers in a community event, and there was a lot of parents there too. And we had administrators come up to us and say, "We love the content of this book, but this is too much for parents. What do you have for parents?" And we said, well, that's a great question. So we started taking everything that's in this book, and over the last year and a half, we've been working on this kind of as a side project of how to teach the principles in our book, The Resilience Breakthrough, to parents, and kind of apply it specifically to what can a parent do, and sort of addressing the needs of any parent. A single parent working multiple jobs, just trying to make ends meet, and how they balance the limited time they have with their kids versus parents with greater resources, but they're still not sure how to engage kids and sort of create a resilient family culture. And it's what we do. It's what we've been focusing on, these tools that are in this book, and what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks of talking about some of the tools and the boosters here. We put this together in a parent guide for resilience, and it's something that we plan to use with schools and plan to use with parents, and it's actually a product of ours that we charge. But right now, we just think in the current conditions, the most important thing we could do is get that into the hands of parents right away. And so we want to make that available to all of our customers right now to be able to share with parents at no cost, where they can get access to the full parent guide and tap into the resources that are in there. And so you can access that at resilienceguide.org. That's the URL. Just going there right away. It's completely unlocked. There's no need to register for anything. You can just go access the guide and begin accessing those resources and share that with parents, because we feel like this is something that is really an incredible resource that we can offer that helps us understand what are some specific things that we can do right now to be better at flipping the switch, to be better at managing our emotions, to be better at sort of finding ways to be productive in the face of all these challenges that we're dealing with individually, as a family, as a community, and a society. So that's one of the things we wanted to get out there today. And then we'll talk more about that as we get into these Facebook Live events we're going to do over the next few weeks.
No, absolutely. And also, I want to put a request out. Someone had just asked a question around this and said, please do this. If people have ideas on how to engage students, especially kids that need to communicate, they need help, as school districts out there, as you're doing different things, if you could please let us know some of those strategies and things you're doing so we can pass those things on, that would help a lot of people. So because we have access, we can quickly communicate with a bunch of school systems and stuff. So please let us know some of your ideas, and this is just part of all of us being in this boat together. And we need to get some of those best practices to students as soon as possible, so especially around identifying those kids that are really feeling lonely, at risk, and need a little extra support. And so if anybody has ideas around that, please, you can just probably best just email us. Is there another email we want to give, or should what email would be good for people to give us feedback?
They can post on our Facebook. They can, reach out to us, same email, info@whytry.org.
Okay, info@whytry.org. Okay, that'd be great. Please do that. Did you have anything more? I know there's several questions that people have for us. They were saying, so maybe we'll do
Any
some
other questions, guys?
What we offer for fam?
Yeah. So what we're delivering online. So the fact that we are doing this right now online, we're putting resources together to help both supporting teachers. We do a lot of training online, and we're going to continue to do that. I think we're pretty uniquely positioned to be able to adapt to the circumstances that we're in right now. It's been kind of an interesting thing to see this shift and change, but we're ready, and we're ready to help and support. And so that's kind of been our message for the most of this week, as we've been reaching out to a lot of the educators that we work with and just trying to see what their needs are and how we can support them. And same thing, if you have any questions or anything, if you see this after the fact.
Another thing I was talking, me and Bruce Bushnell, and I know many of you have been trained by Bruce, know Bruce. Me and him, we definitely have some time over the next few weeks, over the next month or two, probably. So look, if we can do a webinar where we can come and you can get, it can be all online if you want us to speak on a topic or an area you want us to focus on. There's lots of different things we can do as Surrendering the One Up, training, maybe you can go through some of the different things we offer, Hans, on that. And then, but feel free to contact us at info@whytry.org if you want me or Bruce. It could be other of our staff can do it as well, but we're really going to focus on that. So please feel free to reach out. I mean, that basically I'm in a position I can do a whole bunch of free training, consulting right now that in the past,
It's just time.
We couldn't do it because of time. I was booked out. I've had over many speeches canceled, over 30 speeches canceled. They're just out. And so I have time to support you guys in whatever way you all need. Just contact us and say, hey, could Christian come speak to some of our teachers? I can even do something for kids if you want me to. If you see a group of kids really struggling, just let us know what you need. We're here for you.
Yeah.
You guys have been here for us for the last, you guys have been here for us the last 20 years. We need to be here for you guys. And that's about all being in the same boat. So we're here for you guys. Let us know what you need. Let's do this together. You guys are my heroes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to end
for
with
what you're doing. I mean,
you guys are my heroes.
We hear so much
amazing
right now from all the outreach we've been doing to our customers. Just the amazing work that everyone's doing, trying to adapt to the challenges that we're facing right now. So we just want to thank everybody.
Yeah, and I want to end with 2 quotes real quick. Unless you have something else you need to do before that. Do you have anything else you need to add there, Hans? Okay, and we'll be back on. Trust me, we're going to do this a little more regularly.
We'll try and do tomorrow, same time.
Okay.
1 o'clock tomorrow. We'll do another one of these.
Okay.
They won't be maybe this long. This is our first one, but
we'll
just touch on a couple little things. And you put Christian and I together, it can get long. So.
All right, and I just want to end with 2 quotes here that mean a lot to me right now with what's going on. And the first one's kind of one of my heroes. Kind of I traveled for 20 years, so I spent half my life in hotels. And sometimes when you pull into a hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's like this incredible refuge. Everybody knows Tom Bodett. He always said, "We'll keep the light on for you."
Motel 6.
Yeah, Motel 6 guy. Shout out there. But I love Tom Bodett, and he has a quote that I really like. He says, "They say a person needs just 3 things to be truly happy in this world: someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for." And we all got to keep that hope alive right now. Hope is everything. And last, I want to end with the great Maya Angelou, who said, "Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, it leaps fences, and penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope." Let's keep this hope alive. And I really believe education will always be the center of hope. Education, we know, is the way out of everything. I mean, if we're going to overcome, and as we do overcome this issue right now, it's going to be through education. I mean, we have to be educated about the reality of this virus. We have to be educated in so many things that enable us to thrive as human beings and to do it. Education's the way out, and I think education and hope go synonymous. They work together. And those that devote their lives to education, you guys are me and Hans's heroes.
Yeah.
We both love you tremendously, and you all need to put us to work. We will be online. We'll do this, whatever, 24/7, whatever you all need from us. We work for you guys now. You all enabled us to go reach millions of kids across this country. We work for you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. Hopefully tune in.
Yep. Thank you guys.